Roll call, please.
Paul Kaufman,
Here.
Aaron Hallett,
Here.
Ruth Johnson,
Here.
Ashley Jones,
Here.
Billy King,
Here.
Bill Lowe,
Here.
Kim York.
Here.
All right, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our mission statement, preparing each student for a successful and meaningful life. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, unanimous. All right, on to recognitions now. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Well, it's great to have a full house this evening, and we really enjoy celebrating and recognizing our students, and we get a chance to do that for a large number of folks tonight. I know not everybody can be here at this busy time of the year, but all of those that could be here, we appreciate you being here, and we want to celebrate your accomplishments. And this first group that we want to recognize is not new to us for recognition. They've kind of got a little dynasty in Special Olympics basketball, and we're excited to have them back again this year, so rah-rah. So we have 4 different groups that we're going to recognize. We'll do them one at a time. We're going to start with the Panthers 3-on-3 unified team. They placed second at their state tournament and earned a silver medal. So if I call your name, please come forward. Cameron Adams, right here. Mackenzie Hughes. Adam Doss. Kayla Hughes. I'll point out that Mackenzie and Kayla are unified partners, and so they help facilitate play with the team. How about Chenoa Toller? How about Jag Davis? Excellent. Now, Jag was prepared. He brought his medal with him. I'm impressed. I like that. And, of course, volunteer coach Aaron Howlett. Congratulations. So scoot over a little. Thank you, guys. All right. All right, our next team also earned a silver medal at the state tournament, and the Panther Pride 3-on-3 team. First up is unified partner Paige Whitney. Not here. All right. How about Emma Gudenkoff? Oh. Unified partner Zach Anderson. Aaron Mendoza. Sean Courtney. Tyler Williams. And Coach Katie Howlett. I can see they're tall. They probably had an advantage here. All right, good job. All right, now we have the Panther Cubs team that was a first-place gold medal team, starting with unified partner Dorico Hilliard. Dorico. How about Jaquan Blackman? How about Maddox Martell? Armand Davis. Unified partner Grant Hornbeck. And Coach Kara Hornbeck. Excellent smiles. I like that. Also earning a first place and gold medal is the Panther Team Skills Unified Team. We'll start with Grant Uigman. How about Max Uigman? How about Paige Johnson? We'll keep moving. Alyssa Woodward. Excellent. Sarah Poe. Mallory Anderson. Sabrina Peak. Sabrina here? Yep. All right. And Coach Emma Howlett. You see the family connection here, don't you? All right, great job, everybody. Our next recognition is one of our parent volunteers, and each year the PTA Council puts out a call for folks to nominate volunteers of the year throughout the district, and we always have tremendous nominations from all across the district, and then they have the tough task of picking one person to be their volunteer of the year, and this year they selected Jody Price from Timber Creek. Thank you, Jody, for being here. All right, our next group of students are from the high school, and they're part of the Technology Student Association. They had their state conference and competition not too long ago. Their teacher, Ivan Roberson, is here as well this evening. I'm not sure how many of them are here. Many of them have graduated, if not all of them, but to the ones that are here, we'll bring you up and recognize you. First, we had a state champion in video game design, Matthew Thompson. We had a second place in board game design, Charlie Folk. Also with that, I think it might have been a team event, Ryan Jones. Nope. We had a second place in transportation modeling, Vincent Como. We had a second place in CAD engineering, Harrison Jones. My understanding, he was only a half point away from the state championship, so very well done. We also had in that same category a third place in CAD engineering, Cam Gillespie. Okay. Well, and I'll just make a comment. I don't know if this is exactly right, but I think we've had either first and second or second and third like 3 years in a row now.
This is the first time we haven't had first.
Yeah, so great job. And we also had a third place team in computer integrated manufacturing. Let's see if any of those, is Trent Oberlander here? Jacob Bowles, Ryan Jones, and then I think Cam had it on his sheet as well. So let's give him another round of applause. He placed in 2 events. I have a question once she gets done taking this picture. Oh, Harrison, sorry. Yeah, excellent. I'm curious, while she's doing that, how many of you are going to go study engineering by chance? At least a couple of you? Yeah?
Or stay at CAD, some of them are doing CAD.
Oh, CAD, yeah, of course. All right, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And our final group this evening are our state music contest and band gold winners, which that gold rating is what used to be the 1 ratings at state contest. And these are largely individual events in one small group. We'll start with a gold medal recognition in clarinet solo, Cecilia Brown. Also, clarinet solo gold medal, Sage Buckley. Snare drum solo gold medal, Zarin Jaffal. I don't know how to say that. Flute solo gold medal, Lila Manning. Trumpet solo gold medal, Zach Paskowitz. Was I even close on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Flute solo gold medal, McKenna Sloan. Have a violin solo gold medal, Megan Strauss. Clarinet solo gold medal, Devin Tillowin. We have a marimba solo gold medal and also part of the percussion quartet gold medal, Tammy Yang. Also part of the percussion quartet was Ashlyn Moan. And third member of that group is Jaden Bramble. And finally, the fourth member was Juliana Rica. And I apologize to those who I didn't get their names quite right, but Mr. Wilson's here, and I know he would tell us that these students spend a tremendous amount of time building their skills over time to get to the level of being gold rating at state in the largest class in the state, so it's really very competitive, and some of these folks have been up here more than once, year after year. So congratulations, and we wish you all the best as you move on past this school year. I want to thank everybody for being here this evening, the parents who support these youngsters. You're welcome to stay for our business meeting, but if you don't want to, we certainly understand. You're welcome to leave at this time if you would like to. That was fun, by the way. That was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you to all of our teachers. I think tonight just goes to show how well-rounded our student body is. You know, they excel in so many different areas, and that's just a testament to our overall program as a whole. All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you. Public comments?
None tonight.
Thank you. Informational items, district wellness update. Mrs. Searles. Well, Dr. Hatfield. I will take you both. You were hiding, I didn't see you.
So I'm just going to take a moment and give you some of our exciting news from our wellness program. So I'm going to first go over some of the things that we've done this past school year, so 19 to 20. We had 3 all-staff workouts with Mr. Kaufman, and if you haven't been to one, I would encourage you to come to one next year. They're very high intensity, but he does a great job leading those.
Or you can walk. You don't
Yeah,
have to
where
do
we
it,
can
or you
walk, which is
walk.
actually what I do, so I don't know how intense they are. We also had 131 employees register for our gym reimbursement program, so they're eligible to get $50 gym reimbursement if they go to the gym 30 times in a quarter. We provided 457 Fitbit activity trackers to our employees. So we basically sent out a survey and said, if you don't already have a tracker and you'd like to receive one, then we'd like to give you one. We did snow day giveaways, which were a really great idea when I first came up with them, and then we had lots of snow days, and so it got a little more difficult to manage. And then we did a 5K walk opportunity where we worked with the foundation and the Mad Dash, and we worked with the Cass County Health Foundation, and we put up a competition between different buildings to see which building could have the most participation. And so we were able to get 141 employees participate in those events, which usually there may not be quite that many. In addition to those things, we had 4 district-wide challenges. So in the fall, we did the Great River Road Race, which was a step challenge, and our employees took a virtual trip along the Mississippi River from Minnesota to Louisiana. We had 381 people participate. 296 qualified for a prize, which means that they got 6,000 or more steps per day. And as a district, we took over 154 million steps on that virtual challenge. And then we moved into the Maintain, Don't Gain challenge from November to December, which was promoting healthy living habits, healthy eating, reduced stress, increased exercise, just an opportunity to kind of maintain your health over the holidays versus regretting it after the holidays. So in that event, in that challenge, we had 148 participants, and they did a virtual challenge where you went through Rome, and our district took 8th place out of 219 corporations that were participating in that. So I figured that was pretty good, meaning our district took enough steps that we met the finish line first. The next challenge we did, which was a hydration challenge, and it was called the Love Yourself Hydration Challenge. It kicked off on Valentine's Day. This challenge is exactly what it sounds like. It promoted drinking more water to our employees. So what we did was we did weekly digital newsletters, weekly participation surveys, and then we paired up with Child Nutrition, who provided us with fruit-infused water on Wednesdays, unless it was a snow day and then it got moved to Thursdays. And
There were 7 Wednesday snow days, I believe, so.
yeah. It was funny because they'd have the water already, and then I'd have to quickly adjust for it being moved the next day. So, but we did have I got a lot of positive feedback around that one. We had 351 employees complete all of the weekly surveys. That's not to say that's all that participated. Those are just the ones that remembered to do all of the surveys, and they qualified for a prize. Overall, we had 1 million plus ounces of water that were reported as being consumed during that challenge. And then we just wrapped up the Bright Lights Big City Challenge, which was another virtual step challenge that allowed participants to travel the eastern seaboard from Boston to Miami. This one kind of paired up the hydration challenge and the step challenge from the beginning of the year. It put them together, so not only were they doing steps if they took or if they drank less than 1 beverage that had added sugar in it, then they would get 1,000 extra steps for that day. So it kind of promoted the healthy drinking, healthy hydration, and the step challenge. And we had 363 participants. And of those 363, 362 reported taking 6,000 or more steps on average per day. And on that one, we took 153 million steps as a district. So out of all of our challenges this year, we had 71% of the district employees participated in at least one of our wellness challenges. So that number's up. I don't actually have the statistic from past years, but that number's up significantly. So this was a great year for wellness. In the upcoming year, we are going to be doing a lot of the same things. We're going to be doing step challenges. I'm going to come up with another hydration challenge. We're going to keep doing what's working for us. But in addition to that, we are we actually are purchasing at this moment treadmills for each of the buildings that are treadmill desks. So employees will have the opportunity on their plan time or before or after school to go and work at a table much like this and walk on the treadmill while they're working. We're also purchasing collaboration tables, which have little bikes, pedals underneath, where 3 people can sit at. And so while they're having collaboration meetings, they can sit and they can be doing some exercise and get some activity during that time as well. We're going to be putting out monthly wellness newsletters. We're going to have more frequent wellness, all-staff workouts. I'm hoping for once a month, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for you guys to come if you'd like. course, I have to talk to Mr. Kaufman a little bit more about that. We're going to be doing a social media photo challenge, not centered around the snow days. Instead, it's going to be here's your wellness t-shirt. If you post a picture of yourself doing something active while wearing your wellness t-shirt, then you get put into a drawing for a prize that'll be drawn at the end of the quarter. And then we're going to be doing some mental health challenges. There's a lot out there where you can pick a month and there's a calendar and it has little tips of things to do to keep your mental health healthy. And then we're going to do Water Wednesdays every single week. So I've talked to Child Nutrition, and we're going to be doing infused water on site for our employees, all of our employees, not just the ones participating in wellness. And actually, in the past, during our hydration challenge, a lot of the kids were able to take part in getting that healthy water. In fact, I have an 11-year-old daughter at Raymore Elementary, and she would come home on Tuesday night and say, "What do you think our flavor's going to be tomorrow?" And which shocks me. So it was a good thing. There's a lot of exciting things going on in the world of wellness. On the next slide, it kind of goes over just some of the positive feedback that we've gotten this year. I've heard from just tons of people who are telling me, hey, because we did this hydration challenge, I'm more aware of what I'm drinking, and I'm really making sure that I'm staying hydrated. Or I hear from people, I, for one, like to walk around Rec Park, and I go for a walk every single night. And it was amazing how many people from our employee pool that would be out walking and that we would see out. And they would say, hey, I'm doing this because of you, and point at their Fitbit. But I mean, it's really encouraging and really exciting to see how much our employees are enjoying this and how people are starting to take a little bit more notice of what they're doing to stay healthy. And I just think we had a fantastic year as wellness. So do you have any questions for me?
I'd like to just interject really quickly. Some of you are new to the board, so you may not realize that this is the first year for a full year we have taken care of wellness in-house. We had a wellness coordinator that Blue Cross Blue Shield and CBiz, it was their employee that came on site about 20 hours a week. She left, and then we hired someone else who didn't stay very long. And Rachel came to me and she said, I can do this. And she's done it. And it has been an amazing year for our employees. The salary amount that was dedicated to a wellness person, now it gets directly put into our employees and these challenges purchasing their Fitbits. It wasn't something she had to take on, and her salary certainly didn't increase. But I will tell you, it takes a lot of time. And even in the exit interviews I'm doing with some of our employees who are moving on, they have mentioned, when I ask, what is the district doing right? I've done 10 now, about 5 of them, 50%, have mentioned our wellness program. So kudos to her for the job she's done. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Well, and I think we all know, when our physical health is better, our mental health is better. So I love the connection that you're making on it there. Good job.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Title I program review. Dr. Hoffman. And Dr. Barr.
All right, good evening, everybody. We are excited to share with you a bit about our Title I program tonight. Let me see some of the fun pictures. We're on the first slide there of some different family activities as well as things that are going on in our classrooms. So we had several members from our Title I reading group that assisted us in putting together tonight a synthesis of our program. Those included Dr. Volker, Dr. Barr, and myself, as well as Dr. Driscoll and Randolph, who are principals at 2 of our title schools. Mrs. Penny and Shaw are 2 of our curriculum specialists who support directly our reading intervention team and teachers, as well as Mrs. Miller, who is one of our reading interventionists currently at one of our title schools as well. So there are several positive impacts that this program makes upon our students. And so the first one, federal funds are allocated to us based on the number of our students who are receiving or who qualify for free or reduced price lunch. So that's how the program is set up and funded. The greatest impact of the program, the team felt, is our ability then as a district to hire staff to support students and their needs in these areas. So reading interventionists, teacher associates, and core resource teachers. Reading intervention is provided to our students through a variety of ways. It can look like small group work. It can look like pull-out courses or groups. It can look like pushing in a classroom support as well. The facilitation of student work with the student by themselves is, on a computer-based program that furthers that practice opportunity sometimes is also a component. Continuously, we are identifying, monitoring students' progress and identifying students so that we can ensure that a student receives services whenever they need. So this isn't just once a year we do a check and that's you're in or you're not. Instead, our staff are able to monitor all throughout the year, and whenever a student we notice is falling behind, or if it's a new student coming to us with some struggles, they are able to enter that program based on that eligibility. And then students who are not progressing through the intervention program may be referred to special education. We have some great tools to monitor that progress, to intervene along the way, but if students aren't responding, then sometimes we seek additional information to figure out what else might be going on. So several highlights to share with you. All of our schools currently have what you've probably heard of before called a multi-tiered system of support that is in place. So that really allows us to provide common indicators for how we qualify students to receive various additional services and interventions. So even if a student were to move from one building to another building, that eligibility doesn't change and those services are able to stay consistent. We feel like that's a real value. NWEA itself is one of our assessment programs that the board provided support for and helped us to bring on board a couple, 3 or 4 years ago now. And it allows our staff to benchmark 3 times a year our students to see kind of how they're doing. It also provides very specific information to our classroom teachers and our title staff on areas of challenge. Therefore, we know it's not just an area of struggle in reading itself, but what about reading might be an area of challenge for individual students, and then we can target that. Ames Web is another resource that we've had in our district for several years. It is a way in which our teacher associates, reading interventionists, core resource teachers monitor students once they're in intervention to see how they're progressing on those specific goal areas. And then core reading resource teachers are part of course offerings for qualifying 6th grade students, and that began in the 17-18 school year and continues. Interventionists and our curriculum specialists or instructional coaches provide that ongoing training, support, professional development, refreshers that support our classroom teachers, because we know students who are served in our title program also spend a large part of their day in classrooms, and we want their teachers to have that support surrounding effective instructional practice and how to differentiate for students who struggle in reading. And then our intervention team does great activities to engage our families, some of which you saw in the pictures on the cover slide. And those provide avenues for families to come together, just enjoy reading or reading-based activities, and also learn along the way some ideas, tips or tricks or strategies in order to do at home with their children. So previously, we had 3 goals for title. The first goal was that by the end of the 17-18 school year, 40% of our students would exit from the reading intervention program entirely within that year. Well, we set that goal really high. We always have great hopes for our students, and what we noticed is we did increase. We moved from 30% to 32% of our students exiting the reading intervention program overall over the course of that year. We probably aimed a little too high when we're talking about our students who have the greatest and most significant reading struggles within the course of a year. To exit entirely from any intervention necessary is probably a little lofty. So while we're overall very pleased, our team is, with seeing about 1/3 of our students completely exit the program and many others made very good progress, we also aren't going to exit students before they're ready. So they may succeed on one goal area, but they may have another 1 or 2 or 3 that we need to intervene with so that they are successful in that area. They feel confident, and then when they're in class, they experience that success too. So good movement, but we're still going to monitor that goal going forward and keep working in that area. Our second goal is that by the end of the 17-18 school year, the average NWEA growth percentile for our earliest elementary students in kindergarten through 2nd grades would increase to 50. We did meet that goal. The average growth percentile for that grade band was 51, which is significant for our at-risk population. These are our students who are struggling to acquire those basic skills and sometimes that rate feels very slow. So to see them not only where that norm is, but to be above it slightly is very significant for that group. And then our third goal is that by the end of the 17-18 school year, the average student growth on a classroom-based measure called Fontes and Pinnell, or sometimes called F&P for short, would be at 5.0, which just really means they've moved up 5 levels in that classroom assessment. We didn't meet that goal. Our average growth of students in that 6-year span in intervention was 3.24. So we dug a little deeper. We always want to know why, where did we see areas of success, or where were our challenges? And what we found is that when we lump them together, that's the average, but when we break it apart grade level by grade level, 5 of those 6 grade levels, students in intervention exceeded the growth rate of their typical peers. So if you're in intervention, you saw greater growth on the F&P, you're catching up compared to the rest of students who didn't qualify. So we're going to continue to monitor that. Kindergarten was the only grade level that didn't see that, and what we know is we have a lot of those students who are working on not yet decoding in reading or reading comprehension, but can you even hear the difference in sounds? So we're not ready to read yet. We've got to be working on those things, and that's what really a lot of our kindergarten students' goal areas are that are being worked on in intervention. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Barr to talk about our scorecard.
Good evening. So our scorecard is looking at 6 different items for the next round. The first one is going to be looking at that conditional growth percentile for K2. The reason we're looking at that versus Lexile is, one, some of those kids aren't yet reading, and that because of this growth percentile, what that assessment really looks at is some of those pre-literacy skills, like even sounds. And so I feel like that's the most appropriate way to measure growth at that particular level. However, you can see when we move down to the second item that we are checking on, it would be the Lexile growth, because by 3rd and 4th grade, we should be able to be looking at Lexile growth. The average growth for this is usually between a 131 and a 160, so you can see we are well above the average growth rate now, and that's why that mark is in the advanced area, because we clearly are advanced in having kids move forward and have some more than average growth. Our third look is looking at the 5th and 6th grade level. Same thing, looking at that Lexile. The average growth range here should be between 65 and 110. So we are within that range, but really feel like we still have a ways to go. So mark that at a 4, because we'd really like to get a little closer to the top end of that range or beyond, if possible. Our fourth thing that we're looking at is the percentage of students exiting the reading program. As Dr. Hoffman mentioned, we might have been a little too lofty in that last goal. Don't want to exit those kids too early, but we are at a solid 32%. And then the 5th thing we'd be looking at is the percentage of students in reading intervention improving their percentile rank. So lots of our kids are growing, but in order to grow to the point where you're actually improving your national percentile rank, when our kids are looking at how they compare with everybody else in the nation, that's extremely hard, and it takes a huge amount of growth. So we're looking at really, while we're at 42%, continuing to stretch that, but it really is a good look at where our kids fall nationally, and it's looking at more than just average growth. It's looking at significant growth. And then our last item to look at is we do a survey with our families and looking at what our parents feel, how well our teachers discuss those goals and ways to improve. And that's doing really well right now at 90.1. We're keeping that on there because we really think that that's a question we've asked for many years, and we want to just maintain that continuity of our data. So our next goals that we're going to look at for the 1920 school year is looking at that NWEA conditional growth for our K2s to surpass the norm. We really think that foundation is really important, and that is something we want to continue to monitor to make sure kids have that solid foundation before they go into 3rd grade and beyond. Goal 2 would be looking at the average growth for grades 3 to 5 with our students who are in their Tier 2 or Tier 3 reading intervention, and that, again, their growth surpasses our non-intervention students because they are behind. They do need to grow faster than non-intervention, and so we really think that's important to track. In addition to tracking the kids, you'll see in Goal 3, those who are actually exiting. So we really want to look at not just who's exiting, but who's also just making good progress forward. And then our last goal is to have 45% of our students in grades K6 receive reading intervention and have that net increase and that national ranking in NWEA. We feel like we can continue to stretch forward on that. Opportunities for improvement is continued professional development with our reading interventionists and teacher associates to best serve our students. That's a constant. There's always research being done on how better to teach reading with kids and work on interventions, so we want to keep them up to date. But then also use our interventionists and our coaches to help classroom teachers with some of those tier 1 items that we can be doing in the classroom for all kids for effective reading instruction. We want to continue to focus our interventions in reading, but we also are now adding mathematics. And so we do have extra support this year and in upcoming years in math. We feel like that's our next thing to tackle with our title schools, all our schools, but our title schools for this particular presentation. And then training to transition from former Ames Web 1.0 to Ames Web Plus. We really don't have a choice there because they're dropping Ames Web 1.0 and moving to Ames Web Plus. But we have had some of our teachers piloting it in the last couple weeks, and we're getting some really great feedback about how much better it is. And that program allows us to do that progress monitoring in between those NWA benchmarks. So it's just a different way to see how kids are doing day to day, and that's a really important data for us to have and our teachers to have to make adjustments as necessary. Questions?
Just a quick question. On the parent survey, there was 82% that said that they were informed of their child's progress in reading, and there's almost 18% that said that disagreed. Is there a better way we can work with our parents, especially this group that's the higher need? Is there a niche that we can find?
I think that's a great question. That was actually one of the topics of conversation, pardon me, among our reading interventionists at our last meeting. So they are going to be looking at strategies, or we are going to be looking at strategies to figure out how we can reach that other 18% and better reach the ones we are.
Well, and that kind of correlates with that. It was a couple of questions later that said they were able to attend at least 2 events at their child's school, and 26% almost were not able to. So is there, maybe different times or?
Yes, and we have been taking a look at that, and there are various reasons why parents present. So we'll continue to do that and figure out what we might be able to do differently or in addition that will help us to make those more accessible for all of our families.
Well, first, thank you for all of the data tracking and record keeping that goes on. I think that's helpful in making good decisions. One question I have, and I didn't submit this earlier, so I know you may not know off the top of your head, but on our scorecard, we look at a lot of percentages, but could we at some point get some numbers of how many students are receiving, like numbers of students that are receiving intervention assistance?
Sure.
And then my other question is, you've mentioned, K2 being the foundation for reading. Would there be, what would be things that we could do, and that's kind of what you were talking about too, but how could we move it even further? Is it a resource issue? Is it a budget/resource issue? Is it a training issue? I think we'd be interested in knowing how to support that, because as you said, that is the foundation and is very important. And we have our high goals, but what's keeping us from moving more students further? What would it take to move more?
Well, and I was going to say, to tie into that, when you said your lofty goals, I like the lofty goals. I want us to push. Our students can do it.
Right. And as a board, I think we need to know what is the resource constraint.
All right, we will check into that.
I guess my only question would be for the exiting the goal. So now it's 33% instead of the 40, which you thought 40 that's a pretty lofty goal, but now we're only talking 1%. So is it more of a realistic goal, or is it just a way of saying, hey, we met a goal? Instead of pushing a little harder to.
Absolutely. We talked quite at length about that very goal, so it's interesting that you're bringing that up. But what we determined is that goal only captures students who completely exit all intervention when there are multiple areas of reading, so we feel like it's a more realistic goal. But what we've also done is we've added a layer in our tracking system within our student information system to track movement, as Dr. Barr was kind of speaking to, from the most intensive tier, like tier 3, to tier 2. So we internally are going to be monitoring movement in that way, because we do believe we can continue to push further and higher on any of those goals, and that's one way in which we feel like we're going to be able to tackle, yes, exiting at 33%, but we want to capture also as a team, how are we moving students significantly from one tier to the next and eventually out. Does that help?
Yeah, and
Okay.
it makes sense. I just, when you have that high of a goal, and then it's
Sure.
like shrunk so low,
Yes.
not low, but to the point where that's attainable.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be more than just, hey, we met it. You know, we didn't try and get 35 or.
Right.
And I'm not saying we're not trying that. I'm just, when you think of a goal, that's what you want to do with it.
I asked a very similar question as they were preparing this, and so I think part of the reality is we think we're going to have better data collection.
Yes.
We're not as, that 32% that we're at now is maybe not as reliable as it's going to be based on how we collect data moving forward. So that was part of the rationale of keeping it relatively close, knowing that we're going to do a better job of tracking it moving forward, so.
I just want to say thank you for doing all of this, and the teachers are working so hard, and I'm really excited about Title Math and seeing how that's going to go. Raytown does it, and it's been fantastic, and so I can just imagine how wonderful it's going to go here. One thing I am curious about, though, is how many students we've identified for special education through the tier process. That's always been really helpful. I mean, going through the tier process for us helps us identify those students. So I'm curious to know how many students are exited from Title because they're now receiving special services.
That's a great question as well.
Well, and I think along with all of these is the key of working with our parents. So that those parents, because these are high-risk students, tend to be, so that we're keeping them academically where they need to be.
Absolutely.
And just one last thing, back to kind of the resource question, just to think about, and I don't know the answer, which is why I'm asking. Is it something where right now we have our resources spread as far as interventionists and whatnot? If we front-loaded that in K2, would it reduce the need to have it later down the road? I mean, I know we're always going to have new students coming in, but is it a thing where if we front-loaded it more, it would help us down the road?
And I think
just to consider, not necessarily for an answer right now.
All right, any other discussion or questions? Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Board Policy 4121, Dr. Monses.
Okay, we have one slight change to policy 4121 that we're recommending, and this came out of the Team Ray-Pec process where we identified wanting to recognize more experience for incoming staff. So we made that part of that recommendation, but this one required us to make an adjustment in our policy language. And for those of you that are newer to the board, this is a first reading tonight. So you just see 15 years of credit being changed to 16 years of credit. The thought process is in future years we continue to add 1 year at a time, at least for a while. We don't want to do more than that because then somebody might be coming in and passing somebody with similar years of experience that's already here if we do it more than 1 year at a time. So it could very well likely come back with an change again in future years. So if there are no concerns with that, we'll have it back again next month then for your approval.
Any questions or comments? All right, well, if you think of some, just get with Dr. Monses on those. All right, action items. Mr. Gooding, G Suite Monitoring Services.
Good evening. Tonight I'm presenting several bids directly related to our 5-year technology plan and presented to the board as part of the planned technology expenditures during the March 14th work session. Monitoring correspondence allows district personnel to provide the safest learning environment possible while giving early intervention opportunities to resolve issues in a positive manner. The technology department completed a comprehensive review of the district's ability to monitor, archive, and report activity in our G Suite system. A few key monitoring abilities our review identified as being critical to any service we contract with included the ability to detect inappropriate words and images in student email attachments, documents, calendar invites, and drive files. It also found the ability to detect potential issues early using 24/7 human monitoring services that alert administrators in the district of imminent threats and allow them to intervene in a positive manner for our students. And the solution should also maintain compliance with state and federal laws like SIPA, COPA, and FERPA. The district received final pricing from 2 vendors, West Interactive Services and Gaggle. Vendors were asked to address a scope of work, training and support, and closeout experience in a 1-hour presentation to a district committee of technology and instructional staff. During the course of the West presentation, the committee determined the product fell outside the project scope and did not meet the specification of the RFP in several areas. The committee specifically preferred the method of emergency contact, reliable false positive detection, quarantine delivery option, and the forensic analysis provided by Gaggle. Gaggle is a proven solution. It's currently used in school districts in Missouri and across the country, and was unanimously rated higher by our committee. So tonight, we're asking for your approval to partner with Gaggle to provide an enhanced G Suite monitoring tool for $36,500. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Did you touch base with any of the other school districts that are using Gaggle?
I did, yes. And they're extremely happy with the way it works, but also the way that it contacts administrators at the building level proactively so that they can help in a positive manner, kind of what I said before issues maybe snowball. So
Were there any negative comments?
I didn't get any negative comments from any of the people that I called about it. I'm trying to roll a negative, the negatives that I can see in my mind are always the privacy issues that people are concerned about. And obviously, this is a service that's monitoring district-provided resources for students, so really there is no expectation of privacy, but still what we found is there's unbelievably private things being shared by students all the time via email in their documents and things like that, so.
Will this or will this not monitor everything on and off premises and on and off your network? Like if, say, somebody takes their Chromebook home, sending stuff from home, I know that's coming back through here, but.
Yes.
Will it
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we've talked with Gaggle, and if it is approved, they've agreed to go ahead and let us turn it on so we can use it over the summer. It's kind of a little bonus time that we're going to get for it, but also helps us kind of break it in, get used to the tool, and also help us keep the kids safe over the summer months too.
What do we currently use?
Right now, we use something called Google Vault, and it's a system within the G Suite that does not have all of the functions that this provides. Specifically, a lot of the way this digs deep into files and looks at photos and has some artificial intelligence that actually looks at pictures and analyzes pictures and will pull pictures out based on what it thinks it sees. And this also allows us to have anything that gets flagged, no matter if it's Christmas Eve and it gets flagged, it's going to go to a human at Gaggle, and they're going to read it and make a determination, is this hurtful or harmful to a student, or is this an emergency that I need to contact an administrator, or is this something that can go through? So a great example is video games. Kids talk about video games a lot on email, and it gets pulled a lot, it gets flagged a lot for gun or whatever their video game they're playing is, and most of those should be able to go through, but they get pulled a lot, so this will help with false positives also.
So I think this is a necessary thing, but one question I have, are students and parents made very clearly aware of what's being monitored? This talks about things being saved indefinitely and searchable for litigation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something very clearly outlining all of those details that we can provide to the parents and the students?
Yeah, so every year, parents sign off on a computer use technology agreement, and within that agreement, it's very clear that none of your communication is private, it's all being monitored. And the part where you talk about it being kept, we don't keep or we're not planning to keep student data any longer than 1 year. The only time we would keep it, and one of the things I really like about this is anytime we have a lawsuit, a lot of times we're asked to keep data for an extended period of time, and this allows us to separate that data off and makes it a little bit easier to make searchability and things of the metadata inside of it a little bit easier also.
Okay, so I don't understand what you just said.
So
when I read, and let me tell you what I'm looking at. In the
Okay.
bullet, it says litigation hold retention that allows search results to be saved indefinitely. So
Right.
to me, that sounds like you're keeping it forever.
Right. So we get litigation holds every once in a while from our our lawyers will send me an email that says,
right.
I have a litigation hold for such and such individual. Please save all digital records that you have from this person from this point forward. So, or
Point forward, not going
from July,
backwards.
or it could even be from July till today. And so we would take that and separate that out to make sure it wasn't deleted, it wasn't overwritten. The user wouldn't be able to go back in and delete it or anything like that.
So it's case specific.
It's very case
I mean,
specific.
it's
Yeah,
pinpointing a
Yeah.
specific target.
yeah, very, very case specific. But we do keep student emails for a year typically, and we don't delete them. It's more for them than it is for us if they accidentally delete something, so we can give it back to them more than anything else.
And do you think the students understand and comprehend this? I mean, I don't know if we have a class or something that talks about internet safety or electronic and social media safety.
So I think our students,
When I asked about making them aware, I understand it's in the thing you sign every year, but
yeah,
do they read that and understand it? Are we actually teaching
I
them?
sure hope that they read. I'm saying yes, they do read that. So,
Okay.
so I think our students think there's a big brother. There's someone watching them.
Well, they're right.
They're right.
I mean,
yes.
there is.
And
right?
that, they see iBoss pop up on their screen. That's our content filter. And
Right.
if you have a student in the district and you ask them about iBoss, they'll probably spit and say, I hate it, it's horrible. So I think they understand that. Do any students necessarily understand the possible consequences that social media and your digital footprint could cause? I don't think that students maybe can comprehend
So we don't have a class
the
on that.
future effects.
I hear a lot of students that will complain because they're doing research for a paper, say it's on a touchy subject, Holocaust, race, something. And as they're looking up, trying to do research, they're shut down. So more times than not, even when they're doing research for a legitimate paper, they're still getting shut down. So they know that there's something there.
But I understand. I think I understand more what you're asking now. So yes, I think that they understand. They understand what you're saying. What I guess what I'm saying is I don't think they necessarily understand the ramifications in the future. I don't think they can comprehend that yet, just because of life experiences. But they are taught that in class from their teachers, and they talk about digital citizenship and things like
And
that.
if there were an instance where something made it through that needed to be followed up on, do we have a policy for informing parents that their student has been contacted regarding a violation?
So typically, as a building administrator, I would tell you if I brought a student in and talked to them about any matter like this, my policy would be that I'm going to call the student's parents and tell them such and such happened today at school.
And that would be consistent throughout the district?
Good partnering with the parent to try to change that behavior.
So they're
or
aware.
Make
I mean,
it a
if the kid's
learning
getting called
environment.
in 5 times for photo violations, the parents need to know, right?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the purchase of G Suite monitoring service for $36,500 from Gaggle.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
I think that's some of the best money we'll spend.
Chromebook bids. Mr. Gooding.
All right, tonight, we're going to look at 2 separate Chromebook RFPs conducted in April and May respectively. Our first Chromebook RFP asked vendors to provide pricing for 1,100 Chromebooks, Google Management Console, and accidental device protection warranties to be used in 6th and 9th grade classrooms and by 6th and 9th grade students as take-home devices. While we're happy with the vendor participation, the budget parameters, the pricing that came back didn't quite make it where we need it to be. And also some of our dealers didn't include the purchase of our current surplus Chromebooks, which we believe are going to save the district several $1,000s. So tonight we're asking that you reject all the bids received in the April 2019 Chromebook RFP. I can answer any questions about that.
So we're going to reject the bids of the first go-around first and then consider the second time.
Did we approve a bid last time?
No, we've not. This is the first time that's come to the board.
For this device group.
So do I have a motion on the Chromebook request?
April 2019.
April 2019.
I move to reject all bids received from the April 2019 Chromebook request for proposals.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. All right. Second motion.
All right, teachers have integrated Chromebooks into their instruction across the district and use the devices to enhance and maximize the delivery of content to students. The 2018-19 school year included expediting our 5-year plan with the rollout of take-home devices to seniors a year early, giving the district a 1-to-1 Chromebook ratio for all students grades 2 through 12. Our May Chromebook RFP asked vendors to provide pricing for 1,100 Acer Chromebooks to be used by 6th and 9th grade students. RFP requests were sent to 20 vendors as well as advertised on the district website. Proposals were received from 6 entities. All proposals were considered in the evaluation process. Vendors were asked to give a unit price, management console price, and service price, and a warranty price per unit. The district selected Dell Chromebooks for several reasons, including the price, their long battery life, the build, the portable nature, the ability of replacement parts, which is becoming more and more important, opportunities for our students to repair the Chromebooks at school, and teacher feedback that we received when we let some teachers use them in the classroom this year. All devices will be covered under a 3-year or 4-year accidental device protection warranty that includes 1 repair per year for accidental damages incurred at home or school, including liquid damages and unadditional drops. In addition, vendors were required to issue a buyback credit for district Chromebooks approved for surplus during the April board meeting. Vendors agreed to provide a credit to the final purchase price once quantity and condition, of surplus Chromebooks have been verified. Vendors are responsible for providing free packaging and shipping of all items. All RFPs included a detailed condition, pricing grade with grading criteria indicating compensation for Chromebooks in good, acceptable, and poor condition. Administration used these pricing guides to estimate final credit during the evaluation process for each vendor, and those prices you see there don't include that credit that we are expecting.
So ballpark, what are you expecting based on your thought right now of condition?
So what we ballpark for Dell conservatively is about $14,617.
Approximately.
Approximately, yeah, that's what we ballpark. So tonight, we're asking that you approve the purchase of 1,100 Dell Chromebooks computers from Dell for $388,025. I'd be happy to answer any questions about those as well.
Just a reminder that we are providing the warranties for the students with this purchase, and that was a decision we made as we started this rollout several years ago. Many districts are charging parents for insurance or some type of user fee for the technology, and we've done that as a board, as a district, so.
How many did we buy the first go around?
So we've done this every year, and usually,
last year
we bought 1,500. We are trying to gain a year out of our 2-5 devices because they never leave the building. They're in carts at school, so we are trying to manage that a little bit and get an extra year out of those.
How many of the one-time warranty have you used to replace a dropped wet?
So we use a lot of we use the warranty. It's definitely used, and this is a little bit different because we've always had Acer Chromebooks, and so this year Dell was significantly cheaper than Acer, so we are changing vendors, which will be.
So will they come in and, like Acer sent out people to show students?
Train?
Yeah, how to fix, replace screens and stuff like that. Is Dell going to do the same thing?
A couple things on that. One, they have an online curriculum that our students can go through that gives them certifications. So we've already kind of worked through that. So they're not planning on sending anybody out, but they are planning on giving us access to the online curriculum and certifying students for free if they want to. These Chromebooks that we're getting this year are actually convertible Chromebooks. So they flip over and they become tablets. So they touchscreen tablets when you flip them over. I really wanted to have a couple of them here to bring to you guys, but Dell made me send them back. So I couldn't do that. But so that'll be a new challenge for our students in the classroom as well as they work on them. But they do not plan to send anybody out with this group.
How's the in-house repair program working?
At the student repair program, they have lots of business, so works.
Is it effective, or?
Yeah, actually, our technicians at the high school really enjoy it because they get to work with the students. So it's kind of a period during the day that may be one of their most enjoyable times because they're working with the students, teaching the students. We think it's effective, even if maybe it's not as fast as what it would be. By the time they work their way through the program, they're pretty proficient in repairing the devices.
So you say they have certification. Is that actually something they can take with them?
Well, they can take it with them. It's a Chromebook repair certification, so
Miss Allen told me, I think she had 6 or 8 tests out this year, if I remember correctly, so.
So I don't know, like starting pay for somebody with a certification like that, but it was still something they could put on their resume as they go try to get a summer job or go to college or anything else. It's a good experience for them anyway.
Do I have a second motion?
I move to approve the bid from Dell in the amount of $388,025 for the purchase of 1,100 Dell 3100 2-in-1 Chromebook computers, which includes 3-year and 4-year accidental device protection warranty.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along. Mrs. Shellberg, breakfast and lunch prices, our favorite thing. I say that very sarcastically, by the way.
Good evening.
We're happy to see you, though.
Thank you. I know not as exciting as Chromebooks, but little background information. As you may recall, the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010 requests that schools participating in the National School Lunch Program price meals so that funding for paid meals is equitable to pricing that is given for totally reimbursed, free funded meals. The point being that a school district would not be subsidizing paid meal prices with federal funds. So currently, we are receiving $3.37 for every free lunch meal served. Our pricing averages out to $2.66 for a paid meal. Thus, a price increase is necessitated. I'm proposing 10 cents per lunch, bringing elementary prices to $2.65, secondary prices to $2.85, and adult to $3.65. Is this the package? I go on to breakfast? Okay. Breakfast, recommending the same 10-cent increase, elementary to $1.80, or secondary to $1.90. Adult increase has to be equal or greater to our greatest paid meal price, which is $1.90, plus our reimbursement rate, which is 31 cents. So that equals out to $2.21, which is a little bit higher than the 10 cents added on to our current price of $2.10. So I proposed to price adult breakfast at $2.25 in order to meet that minimum requirement. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So it's the short version of this, that we have to do this if we want to keep the funding.
Correct.
Yeah, we've said that every year as we vote on this one.
Thank you for doing the math.
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the increase in price for paid lunches by 10 cents to $2.65 for grades PK through 5, $2.85 for grades 6 through 12, and $3.65 for adults, and to approve the increase in price for paid breakfast by 10 cents to $1.80 for grades PK through 5, $1.90 for grades 6 through 12, and $2.25 for adults for the 2019-20 school year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, produce.
Produce bids. Bids were received from CNC Produce, Lafredo, and U.S. Food Service. Based on evaluation of the bid results, I'm recommending the apparent low bid, which would be CNC Produce for the 1920 school year.
That's who we currently have, isn't it?
Correct.
And we're happy with them?
Most of the time.
Exactly. Most weeks.
What's,
I mean, what are some of the
Okay,
other
so,
increases?
sorry, we're in the midst of a pricing audit with them, and negotiating our credit. And I have no doubt that we will come to complete consensus that is correct according to last year's bid pricing.
Do you know of any other school districts that are using our current vendor?
Oh, yes, yes.
Do they have
Many
same
do.
kind of problems?
You know, I reached out and asked, of course. I didn't get any responses from other directors answering that question.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the bid from CNC Produce for the 2019-20 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Pizza bids.
Thank you. Pizza bids were received from Pizza Hut doing business as NPC and Pizza Hut of Peculiar and Minsky's. I'm recommending, based on evaluation of the bid results, the apparent low bid, which would be Pizza Hut doing business as NPC and Pizza Hut of Peculiar, as they service two different areas in the district.
We've been using them for some time now.
Correct. We're in our 4th year of using them very successfully.
I didn't understand the asterisk on that page, to fairly evaluate showing comparison of pepperoni and cheese only, because it looked like Minsky's was lower, but then there was an asterisk.
Pizza Hut included 3 or 4 different flavors that Minsky's did not. So I looked at just, the asterisk below is just the 2 flavors that were in common.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the bid from Pizza Hut, DBA Pizza Hut of Peculiar to service the high school, South Middle, and Ray-Pec Academy, and Pizza Hut, DBA NPC to service East Middle School for carry-in pizza and delivery for the 1920 school year.
Is there a second?
second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Walk-in freezers.
We solicited bids for a walk-in freezer to be installed at the high school due to the age of the current equipment. Also solicited bids for a walk-in cooler and freezer to be installed at Timber Creek, again, due to the age of the current equipment at that location as well. We received bids meeting specifications from Care Sales and Service and Index Restaurant Supply. I recommend that the district accept the bid for $73,200.88 from Care Sales and Service, which is the low bid.
And that's for equipment and installation, correct?
Yes. Turnkey installation, so it's all ready to go. We just walk in and fill it up.
Has there been a problem with the current ones?
Yes, they are past the end of their life and causing very excellent ice formations that are
Very excellent.
quite spectacular. If you would like to come see them sometime.
Maybe could we put them on display for one of the banquets?
Sure, I'll take some
Do a
pictures.
little sculpture work, maybe.
All right, do I have a motion?
And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just trying to, so the total, there's another asterisk, sorry.
Oh, fair enough.
So there's a total that's higher, but then we're deducting freight and labor? and some
Correct.
other
Care,
stuff?
Care Sales and Service if we combined the two deducted freight, labor, and non-prevailing wage charges to bring their total to that 73,000,
That's to get them comparable to the other.
and then index.
The all-in price.
Yes, the all-in for the two. Index restaurant and supply combined total would be 73,995.
And the total for the other one was?
73,288.
And this is next year's budget?
This is
year.
capital budget this year.
Do I hear a
Thank you.
motion?
I move to approve the bid from Care Sales and Service for a walk-in freezer at the high school in Timber Creek in the amount of $73,200.88.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. All right, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
you.
We really do have fun in the child nutrition department as well. Thank you.
Mr. Dobson.
Good evening. The district sought bids for 2 new vehicles for the Buildings and Grounds Department. New maintenance transit van we sought a bid for on April 29th, and the Ford truck on March 13th. This is a planned expenditure out of our capital projects. We solicited bids. We also reached out to 4 of our local dealerships on the Kansas and Missouri side. We only got back 1 bid from Midway Ford on the amount for the truck of $66,723.24, along with that truck is to include a new aluminum flatbed, salt spreader, and then a plow as well to go on that for our snow removal needs in the wintertime, trying to increase our efficiencies with an additional plow and then a much larger salt spreader than we currently have to make our runs up to the northern schools from our salt bin that's down here, our runs up to northern schools much faster and able to hopefully hit maybe 3 to 4 schools per load. And then the transit van is just a standard with a bulkhead in it for safety in the rear and just some basic storage bins. That price was $33,789. The recommendation for the board is to accept the bid from Midway Ford for a total of $100,512.24. Be happy to answer any questions.
Tell me a little bit about the truck. It can't be an F-150.
It is not. Actually, that was going to be an F550, gas motor, plain, Jane vinyl floors, and whatnot. I think the only accessory we really added to that one was a light kit for strobe lights and warning lights for being in the parking lots kind of in the evenings.
And we've used Midway before, haven't we?
Actually, we have not recently that I'm aware of. Last year, we purchased 3 Ford vehicles and Olathe Ford last year.
Did those have add-ons or were they just basic vehicles?
They both have very minimal add-ons, yes.
The ones previously? No, I
That we
mean,
currently bid before or last year.
let me rephrase my
Sorry.
question.
Yeah.
The 4 that we purchased from Olathe, they were just vehicles with minimal add-ons as opposed to this where we want the special flatbed snow plow and salt spreader, right?
Actually, both the ones last year. One, the Escape for security was plain, and then both the box truck had to be all custom built with the lift gate and the bed all on it. And then also the Transit we bought last year was all heavily modified as well from Napa Hyde.
So was Olathe one of the ones contacted that didn't submit a bid?
That is correct.
Why do you think we only, I know it's always speculation, but at first I thought it was because maybe Midway Ford does more of the customization, but you're saying Olathe does customization
Yep.
too. So
They
did
both
just-
work
Do they not
directly
have
with-
salt spreaders or?
No, they both work with Napa Hyde highly, so I'm not really too sure. We've reached out to Olathe Ford several times. In fact, we're still working with them currently on the vehicles we bought this last year. I don't have
So
a
you
good,
did attempt to contact them several times?
multiple times.
Yeah.
We talked to him. He did not submit a bid at that time. They just didn't feel they could actually, the only reason we ever got was the time frame, if they could produce them in time for our needs.
Do you think the price, based on what you know, is reasonable?
Yes, in fact, Dr. Pettengill and I looked through the Ford Transit. It is actually about $4,000 cheaper than the one we purchased last year.
Great, thank you.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the bids from Midway Ford for a service van in the amount of $33,789 and a truck with accessories in the amount of $66,723.24.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your work on that. School Resource Officer contracts, Dr. Pettingill. We haven't seen you much tonight. Welcome.
Hey, that's okay. We have great directors. Well, great news, talking to Rachel before she left, and she's looking at getting those treadmill desks for you guys so that you can keep your blood pumping during board meetings for next year. I think that'll be a great addition. But
I'll take the bicycle piece, please.
You want the bicycle one? We can put the pedals. It is my pleasure to present our school resource officer contracts for next year. We're excited. We're going to expand our partnerships. We'll be partnering with, again, with Raymore Police Department, Peculiar Police Department, and now Cass County Sheriff's Department as well. Each of those LEAs will be providing us with, we'll contract with them to provide one school resource officer, and that'll give us a very strong partnership with 3 different LEAs. So looking forward to that. The contract will remain very similar, actually the same amount as it was for this year. So be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Where will the county officer be placed?
Well, I will be working with Dr. Randolph, Mr. Miller, along with Sheriff Weber and Captain, I just drew a blank, Kevin. Teeman. And we will look, some of that we'll sit down and discuss the strengths of the officer. We'll be going through interviews here in a couple weeks. They have their pool now. They're getting into the SRO business in several schools in the county, and we'll be able to work with that. And then I'll be working with the principals and then determine based on strengths who's best to go where. I'm confident Officer Clausen could be at either building and be successful.
And, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead. That's all right, go ahead.
Rock, paper, scissors.
So in the agreements, there's, I think, 12 bullet points that say what they're going to do. Provide a program of law and education-related issues to the school. I mean, it goes through a number of things. In one of our program reviews, could we get some information on those 12 bullet points and what they did?
Absolutely.
I mean, not a huge detail, but just, like a high-level program review, but with that information.
Yes. One of the things that we had to work with them on is notifying our office before they were going to do exercises with students out in the parking lot and giving us heart failure. So they've gotten a lot better at that part.
Sorry I called you.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see, because I was reading some of those and I couldn't name something because I don't know. So it would be interesting to see what they are doing. I'm sure they're adding value.
They are. But I would be glad to put that together for you. Mr. Lowe?
I was just going to add, so you said Officer Clausen would work in any building. Does he get a choice since he's been here longer?
I would listen to his input.
Yeah.
And take that into consideration.
Boy, that was politically correct.
Rick does a great job for us. I have a lot of respect for the work he does. He has a lot of passion. But yeah, we would take his input into consideration. He's torn. He was at the high school this year. He moved. We actually moved him to the middle school.
Right.
He'll go wherever we ask him to go, and he'll do a great job.
I, for one, am glad to see us work with the county now so that we have all organizations represented and working together.
It does assist us with jurisdiction as well. If I need, if there's an event or something going on at the East Middle School where I would like to relocate our resources a little bit, all of our law enforcement agencies work very well with each other and have understandings, but that jurisdiction piece is a benefit.
Absolutely. Do I have a motion?
A motion to approve the school resource officer agreements with the City of Peculiar, the City of Raymore, and the Cass County Sheriff's Office for the 2019-20 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to band uniforms, Dr. Volker.
Ms. Bias is going to help me with this. We're excited about this one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this, so thank you so much. In your preliminary budget presented to the board, I knew he was going to put it on. We were confident that Mr. Kaufman would put that on.
I think it'll be a little short.
Oh, you'll have to scoot back, Mr. Kaufman, so you can be on camera.
You gotta come
towards
this
the
way.
board. He's got to get his hat on first.
It fits better with hair.
Do you want me to go ahead and go over the presentation
Let's go
while?
ahead and start.
Okay. The preliminary budget presented to the board at its March 14th work session included an estimated $60,000 for the purchase of new high school marching band uniforms as priority one supplies and purchase services recommendation. This recommendation relates to the implementation of a 5-year expenditure plan provided for ongoing repair and replacement of instrumental music program equipment under the strategic plan action step 3.1.2. Establish a multi-year budget plans for significant programs. Focus area, financial responsibility. Price quotes and uniforms designs were requested from 5 companies under the Educational Cooperative Pricing Contracts. Uniforms from Dumoulin Brothers and Company allow for the integration of some of the existing uniform pants, price savings, and rewrapping existing Shako hats rather than purchasing all new hats, again, price savings, which resulted in the lowest total cost. Therefore, it is recommended the district purchase band uniforms from Dumoulin Brothers and Company at a discounted rate through its by-board cooperative purchasing contract at a total cost of $63,374.10. I know,
That's
this is an exciting time. It's easy to picture your students, our students wearing these. It's easy to picture what this will do for the program, so it's exciting.
So while he's showing, I'll just tell you a couple of the features. They picked gray instead of black because instead of white, I'm sorry. Because unlike some sports uniform that can be thrown in the washing machine, these have to be
Dry clean.
These have to be dry cleaned. We get that sort of fabric so that they will last another 10 years. Those are zip-on, zip-off sleeves. And so the kids can wear this with just this sort of shirt underneath it and zip off the sleeve and have a little cooler situation. Or they can wear both and layer it up if it's really cold outside. So this is really an all-season uniform, which we don't have now. And it has the same sort of bibbers that we have with our current uniforms that are hanging underneath there. So.
And how long have we had our current uniforms?
Our uniforms are going on the 11th year.
Yeah.
So we will start the 11th season this fall with, these won't come in until towards the end of the season, but we'll, and this is the demo that they made up for us, for you all to approve.
Thank you for that, because that is nice to see them in person.
And you looked great, Mr. Kaufman. Just to recap, we are asking for the recommendation the district purchase band uniforms from Dumoulin Brothers and Company at a discounted rate through by-board cooperative purchasing contract at a total cost of $63,374.10.
And just so you know, by-board is MSBA's purchasing cooperative. That's who they team up with.
Well, I move that they approve them.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I move you approve the purchase of band uniforms from Dumoulin Brothers and Company through the by-board cooperative purchasing contract at a total cost of $63,374.10.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. And thank you for modeling that for us.
I had a hard time listening to you.
It is, I understand. It was there in print. It's fine. Totally fine.
Moving on to real-world learning grant application.
So before Dr. Volker describes the grant application itself, I kind of want to give a little context for this group and the community that might be watching. We've been working on expanding our college and career readiness opportunities for students for several years now, and it's the very first strategy in our strategic plan under Success Ready Students is to incorporate additional real-world learning opportunities for our kids. And so nearly all the districts around the metro of any size are working on this initiative or this effort, and we're all trying to tackle it in various ways. Several months ago, the Kauffman Foundation group kind of convened many of the superintendents and district leaders around the metro to start talking about this as a collective effort. And to do that, they wanted to identify what are those trainings, skills, assets that kids could have as they leave us that would make them marketable and meet the needs of our immediate region, if you will. So they're trying to leverage the work that we're all doing individually as more of a collective effort, if you will, so that all the kids in the metro have opportunities, regardless of what district they might land in. They are trying to do this somewhat regionally because there are different employers across different areas of the region. So we don't have an automotive manufacturer here like the Northland does, but we have Honeywell and we have Cerner not too far away and things of that sort. And of course, there are a lot of other smaller businesses that could be good partners as well. At this point, there's been a total of 17 districts in the metro that have been invited to participate in this grant process, and this is the year one of a multi-year process. So it's about designing and planning this first year with the opportunity for additional grants in future years based on how that goes and how we move forward. So with that, I'll kind of let Al describe how we want to approach this grant, and the maximum amount we can ask for is $100,000, and we're conveniently at $98,000 in our request. So with that, I'll turn it
I
over.
call that good planning. So, good evening again. We're here to talk about another exciting opportunity really regarding college and career readiness expansion. I often use the term Diploma Plus when I'm talking with you, the board as a group, talking about our students graduating with more than just a high school diploma, and that's really our goal with all of our students. I believe the grant opportunity being presented this evening truly does further that effort and ties directly to our strategic plan, so we're trying to do it. As part of this grant process, I need to make you familiar with a term that we're going to hear over the next, hopefully, 3 years, called MVAs, or Market Value Assets. A market value asset is a key high school outcome that signals career and college readiness. Examples of what we use this when talking about this as college and career readiness benchmarks are, for example, IB, AP courses, dual credit, work keys assessments, IRCs, or industry recognized credentials, those things that our students can work towards. Part of what we'll need to do this summer as it relates to this grant opportunity is to establish a baseline by determining the percentage of students who take coursework or have experiences that qualify as an MBA. We already kind of do that, but we're going to have to take it a step further, because not just with our standards, but within the definition set by Kaufman and regionally throughout the metro, what are those MBAs that can move our students forward? For example, we currently count work keys as an MBA. That might not be counted as a part of this process. So this will kind of make more sense as we talk about our goals within the grant and how our region, our district, and our region hopes to move forward in this area.
Just let me interject here just briefly. If you recall on our scorecard, we've been measuring this now for a few years, and we first measured how many of our kids had some kind of something beyond their diploma as they left us. It's gone from the 50-some% range to now we're in the 80-some% range.
Right.
But that's a very loose definition. Almost anything counts, including one advanced course that's an IB, AP, or dual credit. They're suggesting a student would need at least 3 of those courses in order to meet the standard. So we're trying to raise the bar at the same time. So when we recalibrate this summer, our number is going to go back to a lower number as a starting point, and they're wanting to grow that number over time across the region.
Yeah, correct. So the overall goal really, as Dr. Monsis is saying, is to develop a 3-year plan outlining how our district will provide all students with MBAs so they're equipped to work and ongoing learning beyond high school. So how do we plan to accomplish this, especially in year 1? We're talking about year 1 of this. The Ray-Pec School District is requesting funding for a community partnership coordinator. Okay, this position will help us analyze regional employer needs, identify market priority workforce training certificates, develop relationships, partnerships with regional employers, workforce development groups, recruit area career pathway partners for authentic work experiences, communicate internally and externally throughout the planning and design process, and market new program offerings to students, parents, and our regional community. So that's quite a bit that we're asking of this position. But we think it'll be an incredibly valuable asset as we reach out and develop our college and career readiness expansion programs. So additional monies would be used as well for professional development. You'll see that in there. Site visits, including visits to exemplar schools and businesses, and additional supplies needed to accomplish our goal. The coordinator and key members of the district design team would attend professional development focused on how to create and or further develop real-world learning opportunities, including project-based learning opportunities. The first year of the grant would provide the foundation for future expansion of district programming in 3 key areas, and they're areas that you've probably heard me talk about before. That is advanced manufacturing, computer science, and biomedical sciences. So as we roll into year and two and year three, hopefully, those are the areas that we'll be looking for expansion opportunities. Ultimately, the goal is to increase our students who attain an MVA by 40% over the course of our 3-year plan. And in the end, all of our students having opportunities to gain these MVAs. This will support the regional goal of having 90% of high school students in the Kansas City region graduating with 1 or more MVA by 2030. That's the hopeful outcome of the entire process.
We've got pretty expansive offerings for those advanced courses, APIB and dual credit. We're thinking we're going to focus more on the quicker entry to career opportunities so that kids can get through credentials that may not require 4 years of college. So
In those 3 core areas.
they can hopefully get certifications while they're here with us and either use that to work their way into their career or work their way through college. as
Yes,
they
that's what we're
prepare.
seeing a lot of now,
So
working the way through college.
this is the initial step, and the position that we're identifying and requesting funds for is one that we kind of had in our planning process, and we talked about. It was on a second-tier priority at the March work session. This is going to allow us to get it started maybe a year sooner than we would otherwise. Ultimately, we'll probably, if it's effective, want to pick that up as a district. That's kind of what I think Kaufman would expect. Their future grants will probably go more into the infrastructure of what these programs would need to get off the ground. Once we've identified what they are exactly, what credentials we're going to go after in terms of training and support.
So this is about developing programs, not getting, programs like internships or where they, I'm confused
be a
about.
combination.
Okay, so
Is this giving a kid a chance to go work at Cerner for
It's a
one day
variety
a
of
week?
things.
or-
It's a variety of things, and Kaufman's been very flexible in letting districts identify what it is they're wanting to tackle with this. But in that MVA document that's included here, there are about 6 or 7 different possibilities, and one of those might be work experiences. One of those might be something that we're going to do on site here to get some type of industry credential that would be of value. So there's a variety of different ways we could tackle that. We're thinking we're going to work on a certificate program of some sort that they can do while they're here. And if we can pair that up with an employer, that's even better.
Yes.
We're
We're
What you're
looking at a
saying,
partnership.
credentialing.
Credentialing, work experience and credentialing, the combination of those two. Right now, we've got teachers individually trying to go out and make some of these connections. but
Right.
Let's face it, they have big schedules of lots of duties and activities. We need somebody that has the time to really help bring those connections in and give opportunities for either teachers to go out and experience what the real work world is outside of what we do every day, and or get students out there or get those professionals outside to come in to help us. Any of those would work under their paradigm, and they're letting us decide how we want to tackle that. They are encouraging us to work regionally. So we're in a micro region with Belton and Lee Summit. It'd make good geography sense for us to be talking to the same employers. Instead of all 3 of us necessarily having to make that connection, we might be able to work with them so that the employers are only having to work with one collective effort instead of all those individual ones. That's part
Well,
of how.
that was my next question, and I'm all for working together.
Yeah.
But then that means more limited resources potentially, but I don't see another way to do it. So.
Yeah.
So we'll be working with Belton and.
So each district's going to write their own grant, but they're encouraging us to collaborate so that we're not doing the same thing three times.
So do we know what Belton and Lee Summit are doing?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
That's the point of the planning year.
Yes.
The first year is the planning to try to figure out how we can work together.
Now, the Kaufman Foundation is paying for this. So this is not,
No,
Any
we're just
cost
asking
to
for
us.
permission to pursue the grant.
okay.
Yeah. This wouldn't be funds taken out of our budget, no. Now, that's the exciting opportunity. They are putting up a significant dollar amount for planning and design. I mean, which is, if in turn, this doesn't come to fruition, we as a group, a community, as a board, say, there's a better direction for us to take. We can serve our students in a different way. Okay.
Are we locked into how let's say you talk to Belton and Lee Summit, and that changes what we might do. Is our vote tonight locking in how the money's going to be spent?
For this first year, we have provided what we are going to ask for and submit that to Kaufman in its current form. I think in the design stage, this next stage will be identifying those key areas to bring back saying this is what we're going to be asking for in years 2 or 3, from what I'm
We're
understanding.
proposing that we're going to use the money to hire someone.
Yes.
Correct.
Is our Belton and Lee Summit going to hire someone too?
We don't know that
No,
for
we
sure.
don't know.
Okay.
So we don't.
But for us to work together, they would have to, right? Wouldn't
Well, they may have somebody already designated. So, for example,
okay.
I know Belton has somebody identified for next year to be their academy leader or whatever they call their position. I think Lee Summit already has staff like at Summit Tech that would fill a similar role. So we're missing that piece. They may be missing some other piece, or they may want to take another approach.
We're just alleviating that
That
from a
makes sense.
teacher.
Oh,
essentially.
yes,
Or
which
a
our
group
teachers
of
are
teacher
actively seeking
administrative
those
oversight.
partnerships now. So we're trying to provide that, take that off their plate, allow them to focus on their classroom, and then support them so we can develop those partnerships, and this position can help us
Well,
do
and
that.
I did like how this person will help be responsible for educating our parents on what these programs are that we have, even the ones we currently have, so that parents grasp a better understanding
Yeah,
of what we
we're trying to
offer.
do.
I know when you get to the next level of college, there's colleges now that are requiring 3 pieces of paper, either 2 minors and a certificate, or a major minor and a certificate. Byron's going to Drury, and their incoming freshmen this year are required to graduate with 3 certificates. And you get those kind of like this in certain areas of study. You have to have so many hours in an area of study along with 2 minors or a major minor and a certificate. But they're requiring 3 pieces of paper to graduate.
So are we saying that that certificate they get would equate to that?
I'm not saying that
Not
that we're
necessarily.
gonna demand
I
or
mean,
something like
right.
that.
No, but
I'm just saying that.
I mean, would that certificate that this possibly receive here equate to the one that Byron would have to get?
It could.
I'm just saying that people would be able
Right.
to take this certificate and go straight into the workforce.
Right.
And not only would they have a high school diploma, they would have a certificate in an area of study to go on to the workforce and say,
Right, but
I received this.
We're
So
still
did
going to
we
have
enough? Did we have enough? Was he able to get that here? Did he
What-
get
what's
his
the
3
certificate?
pieces of paper that he needed?
Well, here you get your high school diploma.
Right.
When you go on, I'm just saying colleges are requiring that you have to have this.
While you're in college.
I'm just saying, we're gonna
Oh, in
offer.
college. I thought you meant from
in
high
college.
school.
No.
Okay, I'm like,
Once you get into
They're gonna earn
college,
them there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant to get
it's
into
not an
college,
option
they had to have
there,
it.
like it,
Okay.
like it would be here.
To Bill's
So
question,
that's
it
what
could
I was
be,
wondering.
it could be that they earn a certificate that will count for
Right,
a college.
that's what
It
I
varies
was-
by college,
Well,
obviously.
Okay.
I was just thinking that'd be a huge plus if more colleges are requiring that, and they're able to do it here with no cost or limited
Yeah.
cost. I mean, that's.
There's a definite evolution to our students at high school and at college getting some real-world learning opportunities that do sometimes our certificated programs. Because what we're seeing a lot in the business world now is they'll look at a certificated program that might be offered in a high school. They'll hire them on at significant businesses in our region and then possibly pay for the rest of their college as they work for them and, for example, a CAD program or computer automated design, things like that. So I think opening up opportunities for our students to experience these things, one, has been listed in our strategic plan, and it ultimately is what this can provide us, the opportunity to explore and expand in those 3 key areas that we know, advanced manufacturing, computer science, and biomedical, that are going to be driving the workforce for years to come. So I think this is an incredible opportunity to begin with support of organization that has significant financial backing to help us do that.
This is work we want to do anyway.
Oh,
We're
yes,
getting
this
a
was
little
work we were
outside
excited to
Kickstarter, if you
ourselves.
will, to make it happen.
It makes me
Yeah.
think of, there's a young lady that just graduated. Not only does she have her high school diploma, but she has her CNA certificate because she went through Summit Tech. So she graduated with her diploma and her CNA certification, all at the same time.
Yeah. I think ultimately, it would be great if we could provide those opportunities. It's a little frustrating when we can only send X number of students to Summit Tech. And that was kind of along the lines of what I was
Right.
asking. Are we going to invest this effort so that our students benefit from it?
That is the goal.
As well as being good neighbors with our neighbors.
Right.
You know, we need things internally so we don't keep relying on having to send someone to Summit Tech and pay other people to take our
Right.
students.
Yes, I believe I was
We need
understanding
our
what you're
internal
asking, and
Right.
yes, that is the goal.
infrastructure built.
That's exactly what we've
Right.
talked about.
Yes.
If we're picking these high-demand fields, I think it's reasonable for us, if you could envision, you know, the typical Summit Tech or Cash Career programs, like a half-day program or a 3-hour program. So I would envision that we would identify some 3-hour programs that we would be offering here, and instead of sending 3 kids or 5 kids or 6 kids, you may have as many as 20 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon. And if we can't fill all those, then maybe kids from their area could help fill some of those slots if we don't have enough of our own students.
Correct.
That's
And we
kind of
could
what
probably
we're,
do that at about the same price as it costs to send 3, maybe,
Oh, yes.
well,
or 10. Okay. Maybe.
We'll have to see
Maybe.
on that. Good thought, but we will definitely have to look.
I think this is a great first step for us to begin the process to look into it and see what we can get. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the real-world learning grant application as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Committee reports. I know school's kind of wound down, so I'm not sure what committee reports there were.
We had a mental health committee meeting. It was mostly just in preparation for a presentation to the board and talking through how to kind of wrap up and summarize all the good work that's been going on in that area. So it was a good meeting and looking forward to that presentation.
All right. Superintendent's report.
well, I want to congratulate our new 472 graduates from last Friday evening. Thank you to the board for being there and celebrating that with us. And I appreciate the high school team for putting together a great ceremony, as they always do. One point of note, you know, there are a lot of things we celebrate about individual classes. We had 35 Bright Flight eligible kids out of this class, which is by far the biggest number. And I think statewide it's supposed to be about 3%, the top 3%, and this is about 7% of the class, if you can imagine. So lots of different accomplishments, but that's just one I would point out. I want to congratulate all of our spring sports and activities that go on this time of year. We recognize several of those students this evening, and we'll be doing so again next month. You know, our theater department tonight, we wanted to have some of our music folks here, but they're at the Blue Star Awards, where they're up for 10 awards. I'm sure there's social media posts happening that they may or may not be winning some, so.
I'll say, I've been update on 2, that we were 3 actually.
Three winners already?
Yeah.
That's excellent. So, good news for them, and we'll have some of the vocal music state winners, 1 ratings or gold ratings next month, hopefully. Our state track eligible students kind of had to have a change of plans. They were supposed to start tomorrow in Jeff City, but the tornado there has delayed that, and they've been relocated to Battle High School in Columbia, and it'll all be on Saturday, including one Byron King will be competing, representing Ray-Pec, along with about a dozen other students. And then finally, I just want to, you're about a week away from the end of the school year. I want to thank everybody for their efforts this year. It was kind of the longest winter ever in some ways, but overall it's been an extremely good year. And as soon as it's over, we'll get started with summer school on June 5th, and we're expecting over 2,000 students again this year. So looking forward to that.
All right, moving along to Board of Education comments. I know we all have been at a million different things in the last couple of weeks, and I would like to say thank you for taking time out of your schedules to attend all those things. I know it gets kind of tough, but thank you for making the effort.
So I just want to say for the winners that Abby Ball Jr. got the choreography award at the Blue Star, and our hair and makeup got a win.
Cool.
So we're doing well.
All right, calendar of events.
It's your makeup, I mean.
The hat would
Under
cover it
the
up.
supreme tutelage of.
All right, calendar of events. May 31st, last day of school. It's almost here. June 5th, besides my birthday, it's summer school begins. June 8th through 9th is MSBA Leadership Summit. June 13th is our board retreat, and June 27th is our next board meeting, 6 p.m. closed and 7 p.m. open. And if there's nothing else, meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.